Okay. Just need to press a few buttons here. There we are. Hello, and welcome to the 52 Miniatures live stream number 6. I hope, if everything's working out. How are you guys doing? There's people in the chat already. Nice. Blue Fangs, great. You're here. Excellent. Admin for today. Magpie. Lucas, hello. How are you? Adventures in Crafting. Ren, Morgus. Lots of you. Marcus as well. There's lots of Isaac as well. Mikey, Ryan, Stretch, Vladimir. Blue Fangs is here to serve her duty, which is well. She's admin for today, so you better watch out. And, yeah. Rusty Beetle says, lovely morning today here in Louisville. It's been a lovely day here in Sweden. Stockholm, too. The sun is shining, and it kind of feels a little bit strange to flee down into my bunker. But that's all right. I've actually had a little bit of a panic. Not really a panic, but I was a little bit late, and I was just going to set up the stream. My entire setup is not... it's, I use the same things as I do for when filming videos. So it's not like a set. I just don't go press a button and then I stream. I need to set everything up. And I usually have my laptop to be able to read the chat. Only I couldn't really find it. I think it's probably at home, but I'm not quite sure. And so then I've been running about for about an hour trying to sort of... This entire setup is based on the length of HDMI cables to my computer and screen. Let's just say that much. But it worked out. Ryan says, happy Father's Day from Canada. Yeah, all these Mother's Days and Father's Days always confuse me because for some reason humanity has not been competent enough to decide on a mutual global Mother's Day or Father's Day. So I don't know if it's Father's Day in Sweden today or not. I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. Cyborg Sloth has arisen, which is good. Probably takes quite some time being a sloth. I'm glad you made it. Mikey R is asking me, what microphone are you using? Is that a Rode condenser? No, it's much worse, actually. It's a Neumann condenser. I can't remember the name of it, really. TLM, I think, 103. Hello, Mark from Montana. Welcome. You've got your Father's Day in Oregon as well. That's nice. I was just saying, I don't know if today is Father's Day for me or not. Michael, first time I've been able to catch this live stream for a while. Well, welcome. I almost missed it myself. So I'm glad we're all here. Christopher Jones is doing some gardening on the balcony while listening in. That's pretty sensible. I wish I could be... Yeah, it was a long stretch. I said I kind of thought I wish I could be streaming while doing gardening, which I then realized I don't have a garden. And so things could get complicated. Adventurer says, I don't know about you, but that gradient on Alex's t-shirt is beautiful. This one, yeah, the highlights are awesome. It's actually gray, but because of my fancy grading, it looks blue, which is, Steve Jennings says, damn, I use Neumanns for music production. best you can get. Yeah, this was used. I still actually do have a music studio. I just don't really use it. I rent it out mainly. I used to be very much into music production as well. And so I have a lot of microphones, and this one I happen to bring here instead to use for this, instead of just living in a drawer in a not very well used music studio. I just sort of got a bit of a trance there with the chat. I'm sorry. I was just it was like I had 1 second of a pleasant little moment of just thinking I was not actually doing this live stream. I was watching someone else's live stream, and I was reading the chat, and I was like, "Oh, there's lots of nice things to read," but I probably should talk. Okay. Klein, hello from Germany. Getting some more layers on my feated bloat drone. What's a feated bloat drone? It's an awesome word. Is it a Nurgle kind of a thing? The first sort of feated and bloat sounds a Nurgle, but drone doesn't sound very Nurgle. I don't know. It sounds awesome. I've just finished a video on. It's actually on undead. But one of them is sort of a zombie. There's going to be skulls and skeletons and vampires, and I've covered it all, kind of. There's also zombies, and I've never painted anything so nasty in my entire life, I don't think, which was a lot of fun. Almost turned out a bit more like Nurgle than zombie, but it's a kind of a hair fine difference sometimes. Like who can copyright the rotting intestines? The undead people or the green demons? Tom says, my hobby revolves around making enemy warbands for 5 parsecs from home and 5 leagues from the borderlands. Really enjoy kit bashing. Yeah, the entire concept sounds great, Tom. Especially if there's something about making enemies. I had so much fun making my random encounters for Stargrave, so the pirates and ruffians, and the pirates I made like orc space pirates, and it's a lot of fun making enemies, because it's almost like a little bit of that sort of pretentious, what's my war band supposed to be like? What's my story? It's just a little bit more free to just do the bad guys, I sometimes feel. It was a lot easier to just do the enemy than haven't even really painted my real Stargrave crew yet, but I've got a plan now. I do. But yeah, sounds like fun, Tom. Cyborg Sloth says, you could do a mini garden stream, make your dream garden, but in miniature scale. Yeah, but I seriously have a hard time doing stuff while streaming. That's the problem. Like the most productive I've ever been, I think, is like gluing the simplest MDF build, which is like looked like this, but built out of MDF. And that took like 2 hours. It was tricky. Not the build, doing it while streaming. Crying Mo says, hello, first time able to catch a stream. Do you have any tips on painting MDF terrain as far as priming or sealing before paint? I've actually just recently asked the question. I think it might even be in the last stream. Luke from Geek Gaming Scenics was in the chat, and I had the same thoughts as you do. And he's done terrible amounts of terrain and MDF and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, no, don't seal it. Just prime it. And personally, I'd probably go just with a rattle can, even if you have an airbrush, just because some of the big ones might just take so much time with an airbrush. totally up to you. But that's actually one of the reasons I got this at the game store yesterday, to be able to prime some MDF terrain. So I hope that answers your question. Just prime, yes. Seal, don't really have to, is what I've heard and what I'll be sort of, that's how I'm going to do it. Nightfall says, stylistic thumbnail of the stream. Yeah, that was, the light was really nice. I took it yesterday, actually. It was sort of 7 o'clock or something. I think 7 or 8 in the evening. The sun was, kind of low. The light was really nice. It's all you need for good pictures, really, is a striking model and a good light. Okay, sorry. I'm scrolling in the chat here. Let's see. Steve says, mic collection never goes out of style. No, it doesn't. But I don't know. At some point, I might want to just get some of that money back, really. We'll see. I still record things every now and again. I used to record bands, and then I kind of fell out of it a little bit, and then the pandemic sort of really just put a nail in that coffin. Hopefully I can start again. I really enjoy it, but it's just been so long now that it feels a bit far away. For self-made promise, I am currently building my Eldari army, so perfect timing for a live stream. Lovely, great to have you here. Welcome. Talent Tactics, welcome. Happy Father's Day to you too. Forsaken, welcome as well. Happy Father's Day. Kleiner says Death Guard vehicle. Okay, I get it. The bloaty thing, bloat drone. Nice. Lucas, trying to finish my Blade Champion throughout the stream. Armor and swords left to do. Okay, so how long is the stream then? Are we doing 6 hours or? You'll have about 2 hours to finish an armor and swords. You knew that? FDB asks, I see you're a Fallout fan. Are you looking forward to the Starfield game? Is that a computer game? Sorry. Maybe that was the dumbest question. But I used to play some computer games. Yes. It was quite a long time ago, and I don't anymore, because I don't think there would be a YouTube channel if I played computer games, honestly. I have a tendency to sort of, when I do things, I tend to do them seriously and do them a lot. And so I kind of on purpose don't play computer games anymore, because I kind of get stuck in that. Which is a bit of a shame, because I do enjoy it. But yeah. Cyborg Sauce, yeah, says, I did paint Lenny on stream. Lenny's a frog. Is a pleasant fellow. You shouldn't lick him, though, because you'll fry your brain. But he was painted on stream, that's right. It was really difficult to see, though, because, this is my Zoom. And Lenny the frog was about, that big. That was really bright, wasn't it? Anyway, so it's kind of difficult to see Lenny the frog. But it still feels like I just kind of moved into this basement bunker studio thing, which is not really true, but that's how it feels. I still have so many things I'd like to do, and one is have a bit more of a better setup for streaming, so that I can actually paint or do stuff like that on stream, which in theory means I might kind of need another camera and stuff. So one day. It's not like we're in a rush, are we? Okay, the scroll is going chat on me. Yeah. Herr Froth says, got my Heresy box Friday. Yeah, now it goes to Alpha Legion. Yeah, I've got a Heresy box. Bought mine from my local friendly game store Alpha Spill yesterday, and yeah, it's a big box. I'm not going to open it. I don't think. I also got a coin. I don't know. It's a fake leather little bag with. I'm assuming this is probably called the Eye of Horus. That just kind of makes sense. Is it the Eye of Horus? I don't know. If I would say what this is, I'd say it's the Eye of Horus, and then you can shout heresy or not. And there's a little coin in there. I don't know what this coin is. Why yeah, there's a coin. I guess that was nice. I don't know what to do with the coin really, but there's a coin that came with the box, which was nice of them. I don't know if that was. Did anyone else get a coin? I don't know. I don't know if it was Games Workshop giving out coins or if it was Alpha Spill, the game store, being nice. Got no idea. I'm going to look at the box in a little bit. I'm just so big. Oh my! There's okay. The entire chat just jumped again. Where am I? Probably about 3 miles behind you. Hartman's Grad. I've accidentally 3D printed a massive miniature and need a base, but CDs are too small. What should I use, and any tips for keeping the base interesting? Well, if a CD is too small, then so you 3D printed the 3D printed the miniature. How big's your 3D printer? Can you 3D print a base? Or like, I know sometimes there are large bases to print, but they're actually divided in half. When you get the file, it's actually divided in half to be able to fit the really big base on your bed. Maybe you could print a base. Otherwise, I guess you'll have to try and cut it out of something. I guess it should be like, what are you using it for, a game? Because that's another thing. Is the base supposed to be played in a game? And in that case, then the base needs to be sort of a legal, like whatever size it's supposed to be in the game. If it's just for fun, then does it even have to be round or square, or can you build a diorama maybe instead? I don't know. What are you using it for, and why does it need a base? Mark from Montana. Painting journey has been going off track with my impulsive and perhaps less than duly researched new paint purchase, Primera and AP Speed Paint. Army Paint. What's Primera? You mean Chimera? I knew that was just and Speed Paints. Have you tried out the Speed Paints? You haven't really. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with going off track and being a bit impulsive and buying paint. But I mean, the chimeras are a little. They require a bit of an effort to sort of get into, especially because you just need to blend and stuff like that. And I'd just keep painting like you were painting, Mark, and use the paints you were painting, and then like sneak in some of the chimeras, like every now and again, not just swap completely, and then you can just start sneaking them in and see what it feels like. The speed paints are a completely different story, which could be a fun experiment, but yeah. Mogus says, I saw at the expo some MDF terrain manufacturer sold MDF specific primer. They mentioned it helped with the absorbent problem. Yeah, that's the thing. I guess with MDF terrain is it's wood and it's um, absorbs stuff, and so that's why people talk about how should it be primed? How should I prime MDF? Or should I seal the MDF? The funny thing is, from people I've heard, or people that I've talked to, one of them being Ryan, who designs the lovely. You can actually see them behind me because it's just a black abyss. But in theory, there's. Hold on, let's see if I can move or if things just crash. This is just one of the simplest brutal cities MDF houses, and they're designed by a gentleman called Ryan in. I think was he in Melbourne? Oh, I can't remember Ryan, but he's in Australia anyway, and he just primes them regularly, and I was talking to him about sort of pros and cons of priming and sealing and stuff like that. And one of the things he said is he really liked the fact that it does sort of absorb paint a little bit even after the prime, because that sort of affects the paint job. He uses airbrush a lot, but he likes the effect that is achieved. And so, yes, MDF can sort of absorb paint more than other surfaces, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It could be a fun thing. I'm not really speaking of personal experience because I haven't actually yet painted an MDF building, which is something I plan to do very soon. But yeah. Sometimes it's just about selling another product as well, Mogus. You really need this product to be able to paint the MDF terrain. Yeah, I'm not sure. Skeleton with no spine asked, how old is your bicycle? It's very cool. That one I actually just recently kind of long-term borrowed because I needed something, like I've got a bike that it looks a bit more fast. If you've been watching my videos for some time, you might have seen the other bike as well. But I needed something that, instead of the box, I can put my son on there and I can ride him to school. They're about the same size. He's not, his face is not as beaky, and he's got arms and legs too, and he's not, square. But otherwise, it's about the same. I'm sorry, but yeah. So I borrowed that from a friend just because it's a good bike to ride my son to school, and it was just standing in someone's basement. I believe it's from the 20s or 30s, so it's almost it's pretty much a 100-year-old bike actually. Michael O'Connor, good afternoon to you too. Not painting minions at the moment, painting a fence. My wife is. The finer details are left behind for me. That's excellent. Are you going to wash the fence with like a Brightland flesh shade or something as well? Do some dry brushing maybe. Does it have tufts? There's a lot of things you can do with the fence. I'm guessing your wife did a wise decision in painting it herself as well, because then it doesn't just end up being a pile of shame. I'm sorry, that almost sounded rude, as if I'm implying that you don't paint your minis, and that would be a bad thing. Just, being funny. Stretch says, if you have any fluffy edges on MDF, use some diluted PVA and then sand. Another carpenter's trick. Yeah, I actually torched mine with a lighter. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but it can be sort of. If we have a look, this thing here. Where's the? There we are. I'm not really sure I can actually get this in focus. I can try. Yeah. So I cut these out. I think I'm going to change it a little bit, and then it's supposed to look like bricks have fallen out. And then I'm just going to put a little bricks here, and it'll be like, oh, that was interesting. Sorry, I'm just going to put myself in. Hi. And when, especially like when you cut MDF, I was actually just doing it with one of these knives, which is, be careful while doing that, because it's a lot of work and you can splint, and then, trying to paint minis without fingers is really tricky. Anyway, you can get this sort of kind of fluffy stuff happening. There's actually still a little bit left here. See that? It just becomes a little bit fluffy. And so you can see the remnants here of me putting fire to it, because that kind of burns up all the little... yeah. I don't know if that's a good idea, or if I should be telling you this. And if you ever try and, put fire to your MDF building, please do it in supervised, under supervision, from someone with a hose, and do it outside in a well-ventilated planet, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's what I did. You could also just do what Michael O'Connor said. No, sorry, stretch, and then put some diluted PVA on there, and it'll be like sort of varnishing it, and then it won't be that kind of fluffy, which is a nice trick. Maybe better than accidentally putting your house on fire. Okay, scrolling a bit away in the chat. See you as well, CHBox. Hello, Nick Howell. Steve Jennings says, really excited to see the options for Heresy Legions, especially Alpha Legion being able to borrow other Legions units. Some great options for painting. Yeah, I've been thinking, like, let's okay, we can talk about the big box now, and then I can maybe put it away or something. It's heavy. Like when they announced this thing, it was just like a picture of a miniature, and it had the beaky thing, and it's the first time I've ever sort of gone like, oh, I'd like to kind of paint that Space Marine because it's beaky, and I liked it. I like the aesthetic, and so even then, I kind of decided, like, I should just get a little box of some of those beaky Marines whenever they come out, and then sort of the whole big train of let's make a huge thing out of the whole thing, and have all the YouTubers and painters, and it's like, I mean, it's great advertising, I guess, but to me it already feels like sort of, I kind of feel done with it because I've already seen it so much. Not really. But I still want to paint the beaky things. And then when I thought maybe I can just buy a smaller box, maybe I just need 10 beaky people. And then I saw the price on this thing and I thought, it was a lot of money, but it's not all that much money for what's inside. I get a tank. I could do something else with the tank. There's like there's the tank. These more sort of heavily armored folk are pretty cool. This big thing. You can hear my I'm scholared. I'm a real sort of 30k, 40k scholar. I know all the words. This big thingy, which is bigger than the smaller beaky people, is pretty cool. And could be used for many things. So I thought, I'll just get the box. And so now there's tons of them. And I have different ideas of what to do, but I'm in none of them are, I don't think, about painting an army. It's about painting one miniature at a time, I think, and using them as a canvas more than using them as, I'm going to paint the one legion and play the game. No, I just like the beaky Marines. I think I enjoy. I don't really paint that many this style miniatures. With that, I mean sort of the shapes, the round, sort of big, flat, round areas. So I'm just kind of looking forward to that. And then most probably it'll just be the one-off every now and again. I do have a bit of a weird, I could try and paint one out of every legion, for example, my way. But I'm not sure. I'd love to hear some input on what you guys sort of think. I don't really feel like doing a sort of, this is how to paint Imperial fists, because there's already like 6,500 videos on how to, I've already done I painted a yellow Space Marine once. It's my only Space Marine I ever painted. But I could work my way through some legions, but just with my little twist. Or whatever. I could paint them totally not legions either. I just think they're cool, and I'm not really super into. I'm reading some Warhammer 40k books right now, which has been kind of fun actually. But I'm totally not into the stories, and I don't really care about them. I can, this is plastic toy soldiers I bought for my own money, and I can paint them whatever way I want. What do you think? I just need to get this out of the way. Oh, sorry, someone put a camera there. Bluefangs, my dear admin, says, if you want to support Alex's addiction of buying more cameras for his setup, it's a good point, consider supporting me on my or our Patreon, which is the 52 Miniatures Patreon, which is a lovely idea. I probably need at least another 200 or 300 of you if we're going down the buying camera route. So you please join, because I really need you. Okay, trying to scroll in the chat. My little there we are. Michael Wright says they bought your soul with that coin. See, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, or some kind of like homing beacon inside, or just like a little GPS kind of chip thing, and they can see wherever, like, why they didn't just put it on the box is a big question. But maybe because people, some people throw out their boxes. They're like, I don't need a box, I just need the miniatures. But most people maybe keep a coin, and then they can they can home in every single Horus Heresy box they've ever sold for some reason, and then some strange twist to that story that I haven't really figured out yet. Ren Mo says, I'm not really into Warhammer, but I'm happy for those who are excited. But I'm currently getting through the rest of my 60 Gasland cards. I have 35 done. See, it sounds exactly like Warhammer, just cards. It's like, I've already done tons of them. Now there's tons left. It's exactly the same thing with Warhammer. Yeah. I found this one the other day. Which was fun. I built this little diorama a long time ago. Which, I mean, it's not really. This wasn't Gaslands. This was. Can't remember what these were called. It's a bit bright, isn't it? But I remember I had a fun time with this. With this little diorama. The car is actually magnetized, Jack, if you hear, magnets. And it's, there's a magnets under the tarmac there, so I can, put that proper in place. And there's a little hill, and it's, there's some, oh, look, there's a thing there. This was a fun little, there's a video on this somewhere on the YouTube. But it was fun painting little cars. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. Just gonna have a sip of my Tian, staring. There's, that's where if you're wondering why I'm staring into the distance over here, it's not to be rude. That's where the chat is happening. Talent Tactics Consulting Incorporated asks, have you tried the new Army speed paint? As in Army Painter's speed paint, I guess. No. If so, any tips or tricks that work for you best with speed paints? No, I haven't actually used them at all. Yeah, I think I kind of at first I wasn't really into the sort of contrast speed paint kind of a thing. I just mainly sort of painted with the opaque paints, and then I started to do more of the sort of a Zenithal Prime with something more opaque on top. And for some reason, I got the scale color, some of the scale color instant paints, which are called instant paints. And they're like called Magic Potion instant paints or something. Scale color, same folk that make scale 75 and that. And they didn't really agree with me at first. They're very sort of thin and but there's a nice selection of colors. And so then I started to buy inks to sort of complement those. And I've more gone into the route of like using inks and maybe mediums and stuff like that. I have a few contrast paints. Mainly I use the black one quite a lot, but that's about it. And it's like I'm investing more in inks and different ways of making sort of my own speed paint type paints rather than buying the ones from Army Painter. Mogus, you got your coin. Good. Hello, Martin. It's lovely. We've doubled up on admins. That's fantastic. Hello, General Antrox from Spain as well. Greetings to you too. Okay, chat needs to. It says, my question about the coin. Coin was a first come, first serve bonus. Also, that box totally deserves to be painted for the Dark Angels in Glorious Black. Okay, so I got my coin because I was, probably because I booked it and stuff. Yeah. Herfroth says, coin was in the Games Workshop box from Games Workshop. Yeah. Yeah, see, I got mine from the game, like my local friendly game store, but they would still. But what am I going to do with a little fake plastic pouch? It's like a bit weird, honestly. But I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. People love this kind of stuff, and I'm not gonna. It's awesome. It's great. Thank you, Games Workshop. Malorens says, hello guys. Currently, I'm painting a Sons of Horus Master of Signal, I guess. This is it's like Greek for me, but it sounds cool. Mark from Montana says, I tried out the speed paints. It was ugly, despite watching some videos. I thought they were idiot proofed. I proved the opposite. It still sounds kind of like fun when praised that way, Mark. It makes me kind of want to see you paint with the speed paints. I actually had a bit of a discussion with another person yesterday, one of my patrons, and it just ended up in the sort of, it's a strange thing having communities like this, and we have a huge, great hobby community, which is very sort of open and welcoming, and so we meet tons of people online in communities, sort of like this in a chat or on a Facebook site or in comments or whatever, or you join patrons and make friends in a way online, and then you very seldom get to meet them, which is a bit of a shame. And I guess a good thing now with the pandemic on is maybe we can start going to more sort of meetups and I was going to say fairs. What are they called? When other people come and want to sell you lots of stuff, all in the same place. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'd love to sit next to you, Mark, and see you paint with speed paints and make a total, mess of it. I'd enjoy that and have a chat. Hello, Kyle Nelson. Welcome. Herfroth says the beaky marines are larger than normal marines and slightly smaller than primaris. Good to know. Mark from Montana says, when thinking to buy another mixer before I get the Chimera colors going? Yeah, I think maybe I have one here. I'm not sure. We can open this in a bit. I haven't had time to open it. I picked this package up actually about 1.5 hours back or 2 hours back. It's from Green Stuff World. And I haven't ordered anything from Green Stuff World, so I'm guessing they have sent me a promo type thing. And I've seen on the internet that they've designed their own sort of paint shaker. I think this might be it. And I think it doesn't work for Chimera. I think it only works for round bottles of paint. But I'm not sure. We can have a look in a bit. Blue Fang says, I tried painting MDF without priming, and that was a pain. Yeah, I can imagine that, Blue Fangs. I think priming is sort of a must. But from what I've understood, is sort of sealing is optional. Like some people seal it with a special product first, then prime it, then paint it. The sealing bit would be like pretty much watered down PVA glue with, some varnish in there or whatever. But yeah. So but not priming it at all would be a pain. Yes. Don't think I could recommend that. Hello, Lonwind from sunny Florida. Greetings from sunny Sweden. Kyle Nelson says, I have no sources for this except general ideas from Terrain Tutor, but my instincts tell me to seal it with Mod Podge or the like beforehand. Yeah, as I think optional. Kind of, but I know a lot of people do it. I think mainly it's based on a sort of trying to save paint, like based on the fact that paint is expensive, kind of a thing. I don't know. Scrolling down in the chat, I need to jump ahead a bit. Christopher Jones says, speaking of impulse paint purchases, I ordered some of the Pro Acryl transparent paints on a whim. Any advice on using transparent paints? Enjoy yourself while you use them. No, I mean, the great thing with transparent paints is the fact that they are, transparent. So you can do pretty fun things, like you've painted someone with the blue skin tone. It's like a blue alien or something. Then you can use like a red, transparent red on top of that, and it actually goes kind of purplish because you mix blue and red, and it becomes purple. But then you can add another stroke somewhere else, and that becomes more red. And so you can you can do that all over the board. And that's one fun thing with transparency, is that it's sort of it's like wearing the sort of glasses, with different like sunglasses, but they're blue and everything just sort of turns blue, but there's still an essence of whatever it was before that. It's not like you just turned the entire world blue. They're great for that kind of stuff, adding tints of color here and there, glazing, like you have a skin, a face or something like that, and you just want sort of a little bit of a green and some shadows down here, or whatever. I think transparent paints are great to have fun with, play around with, not sort of use them and see what happens, and always sort of dilute them a little bit first, because you can always add 2 layers of paint, but it's difficult to you know, if it's too thick and goes on and everything's just like, whoa, everything just turned blue. Yeah. That was today's very sort of non-technical tip. Have fun with them. Yeah, we're back to painting one-on-one scale terrain, i.e. fences. Michael Wright says Pro-Acryl Transparent Black is actually the blackest paint I've ever used, which is pretty cool. I've only got one. I've got the Pro-Acryl Transparent White, I think. I haven't used it for much. I've used it a bit to sort of highlight white with. It's very sort of it was pretty gooey, a little sort of kind of it felt like it was more the formula of it it was more sort of made to be used for getting kind of smoother gradients and glazing and stuff like that, and I was actually trying to paint highlights with it, which was a bit difficult. Lucas says, I didn't sand my MDF terrain before painting and I got lovely textures. It helped to sell it as concrete buildings. Yeah, exactly, Lucas. And I think that, I mean, it's a thing that is just such a thing for everything we do in this hobby. We like to get the tips because we're like, you know, I got this miniature, how should I paint it? Or I got this, you know, MDF, how, you know, we're really keen on doing things right. And we've also usually paid quite a lot of money for this stuff. So it's not like we want to accidentally ruin it on the way. All of these things are fine and understandable. But there's so many variables in the equation. Someone can say, like, you should really seal your MDF terrain and then you should prime it and then you should paint it, because then you get the smoothest MDF. And then there can be someone else going like, I don't even prime it because then it looks all rough, and that's exactly what I want in my MDF terrain, because then it looks like concrete. Or, you know, whatever. I'm making this up. This is not an actual conversation with anyone. This is lies. Okay, maybe there's still some resemblance to an actual truthful conversation. You know, this could have taken place, but anyway. And that goes for everything in this hobby. It's why I sometimes find it difficult, especially more and more in videos, to be like, this is how you should be doing things. I can say, this is how I like to do things. If I'm after this kind of result, which is a terribly difficult sort of YouTube thumbnail thing, you know, to sell. It's you know, if it's like, this is how you paint your best miniature, you know, everyone's going to click it. And if it's like, I think, you know, maybe for me, this is a really good way of painting a miniature. If I'm after one that maybe it looks slightly rusty, there's not many people going to click that. So we're sort of breeding a little bit of a culture, at least us that spend a lot of time on YouTube is, you know, we see a lot of sort of like, this is the best way of doing this one thing. And so far I've never really found that with anything, because it's all about one, what are you after, to what do you enjoy? Like, it's both personal and okay. That was were we talking about MDF terrain? I'm getting confused. Greetings from Spain, Maese. I'm sure I'm pronounced that wrong, but welcome. Hello, Gary, as well. Okay, I'm going to scroll, see what happens. Sometimes everything just jumps and I totally lose track. Michael O'Connor says the fence is going matte black. I asked if we were going to prepare the fence for paint and received a blank look. Yeah, have you like scraped the mold lines and, you know, all that kind of stuff? You don't want your fence to look, half-assed. Stretch says MDF will stink like fish when you burn it. It very much depends on the MDF, actually. This stuff kind of doesn't. It's good to know as well. I don't, usually people know these things, but MDF is, it's like wood residue. It's like if you're in a workshop and you're like sawing away on a plank, and then all that dust that ends up on the floor, that's what you can make your MDF out of, kind of. And they mix it with resin and formaldehyde and all kinds of nasty stuff. And so when you work with MDF, and if you're sanding and if you're doing stuff like that, it's kind of important to actually wear a mask. And that's not because of the wooden particles. It's because of, you're actually sanding out resin and formaldehyde. And that's also the stuff that smells. I know Ryan from Brutal Cities, who does this, he was very specific on getting, he was kind of picky with his MDF, and he really wanted MDF that had, great qualities, but still as low percentages of formaldehyde and stuff like that in there. He obviously wears massive sort of like protection when he's in the workshop with all these things, because the same thing as well, like these are laser cut, and so it burns and there's fumes, and that's resin and formaldehyde fumes. So obviously it's not just the dust, and he wears a mask, but he's still like, if I'm going to be working with this for hopefully the rest of my life, because I really enjoy it or whatever, then the less formaldehyde I surround myself with, the better. And that actually doesn't smell like fish when you burn it. It smells more like wood. And so I think that's a big thing. A big part of the MDF smells like fish equation is it depends on what's in the MDF. Scrolling. So hyped. This is Lanky Fecker. So hyped for 52 miniatures Beaky Marines. Maybe a Ninja Ranger Marines. Alpha Legion are infamously sneaky. Or your interpretation of all the different Legion color schemes. Yeah. That's kind of what I've been thinking. Doing different legions, but maybe, I don't know, I want to find a source maybe where I can read. I don't want to have to read the entire book. I really maybe just want to listen to, what's that fellow's name? I forget, because I'm terrible at names. He does law videos, 40K. He's English, and he does a very good job at it. He also helps Guy from Midwinter Minis out building his Titan, I think, or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, I get confused. He's got tons of videos on like all the different legions and stuff like that. Maybe I can like listen to one of his videos and then interpret that in a paint job or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Scrolling in the chat. Oh, it jumped. There's so much going on. I need to go back. Perhaps a Horus Heresy version of your Owlcast would be a fun mini. Yeah. Problem with my Owlcast is that they're all over the place. It's getting worse and worse. I'm painting my Dragon Riders at home. Like, I finished the dragons. I'm painting the Dragon Riders at home, and they're getting like creamed leather armor with gold, like think Gladiator. I think it is in Gladiator. Doesn't the Emperor at some point have like cream armor with gold? I don't know. Very luxurious. I don't know where that came from. Really. And then there's the other ones who have all the different colors, and then there's the ones with the kit bashed castigators, which look more sort of almost fantasy warfare. It's going to be all over the place, which is fun. Gary Jensen is saying, going a bit crazy from magnetizing. I like the result, but it's really time consuming. Any ideas on how much magnetizing is too much magnetizing? I think, from what I understand, we have a few magnet. Specifically, it's more like we have one magnet, a crazy person. As in the Discord, is a patron. He likes his magnets. And I'm sorry if this is making lots of noise. I just want to get rid of this thing, so I just not accidentally break it. And he enjoys his magnets. And I think, if your take on the hobby is enjoying magnets, then, I don't think there is an end to how much. Go as far as you like. If you don't enjoy it, it's just a necessity, then, just do the bare essentials, I guess. Okay. Happy Father's Day to you too, Michael Strange. And welcome. Princess Damien says, afternoon, embrace the beaks. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I want to do. I just think it's a cool, the concept, just aesthetically, I like, and I guess in a way that we should support. That's how I feel about things. If I see something and I go, wow, that's a great sculpt or whatever, I like to try and support that. Besides, now I have tons of miniatures to paint when I grow old. Jamie says, Kill Team Octarius orders came with the metal version of the little ruler. It does make me feel very fancy when I play. See, that would have been really nice. Maybe, I don't think there is one inside. Is it like... Because I was kind of hoping, that's why I sort of took it out, that sort of in-game, like in gameplay, you need to sort of, who's going to go first? And it actually said in the rulebook, like, you need to flip a coin to see if your general's head explodes, and then there's only a plastic coin in there, but we're going to give you a real. It actually looks like it's painted brass. It's like, but yeah, whatever. That would be cool. And so I was hoping it was just like an in-game feature to use coins. Shows how much I know about Warhammer 30K. Because, like, as you say, metal rulers is nice, or like special dice or something special. This is, I'm guessing, a collector's item. Frost says, the contrast colors are very nice for painting the metallic armor. I spray them with the airbrush 2 coats and gloss varnish. And then wash with oil paints. Contrast paints, yes. If you're using contrast paints through the airbrush, you could also, if you want to venture into getting more, you could use anything transparent, really. From what I've understood, the contrasts paints don't really do the contrast thing when shot through the airbrush. So then, and if you have an airbrush, then you can use inks or anything if you feel like it. Okay, let's see. Crow's Nest says the inks and mediums aren't as easily accessible for their entire customer base. Some people younger, especially, would appreciate being able to pick up new contrast in stores. I think maybe did I miss a part of this conversation or not? Or am I just being a bit dumb? From what I said earlier, I guess that depends, Crow's Nest. Like, because inks and mediums can always be accessible in art stores. That actually, on the whole, tend to be more common than game stores. In if you're around in the world, it's just the scare of going to a different type of store to get your paint rather than going to a game store to get your paint. But I mean, if you go into an art store, there's a vast array of different inks and different type of transparent paints as well, and tons of different mediums. Most of them more reasonably priced as well than in a game store. But you're right, when it comes to in a game store, you can just maybe they just have Games Workshop paints, or maybe Vallejo and Games Workshop paints, and then the fact that there is contrast paint or whatever speed paints is great, because it's more accessible for someone who wants to try out. Yes. Samuel Briggs asks me, do you have any intention to paint a bust or a large 75mm type model? I did paint the one, which also is behind me. This is fun. I can sort of like disappear into the darkness. It's like, bye. And then my wheel on the chair hit like a cable and I couldn't roll any further, but you can imagine the rest. So I did paint this one. She's actually come loose a little bit, I think. No, just not so much. Which was from Miniac Scott's miniature. Oop, shaky and unfocused. There we are. The light's a bit harsh, but it's. I focus on making me look good and not the miniatures. So this is a 75mm miniature. I painted that. It took a lot of time. It was fun. And there's a video on it. Before I painted this, it was like, I don't really know if I want to paint large miniatures. It's not. I enjoy the fact that I paint miniatures for games, that I can use them for stuff to play games with a lot of the time. I don't have a game for 75mm, yeah. But after painting that, I've been considering more and more to maybe paint a bust just to try, especially maybe with the option of using oil paints and stuff like that. But no, maybe yeah. I'm not going to say no. It has interested me, but it's not. On the other hand, I've got a lot more like, I really would like to finish my Stormcast army. I really would like to paint a Beaky Marine. I really would like to finish my Stargate Grave. I have more I really want to do than painting busts, but I might get there one day. Antonio says, my wife uses spray primer on her dollhouse and then lightly sands them down. The difference is very noticeable. She sands after the priming. That's interesting. Why does she sand after the primer and not sand before the primer? Or I'm curious. Please ask her. Stretch says, if you do want to seal MDF before painting, go to a hardware store and buy some sanding sealer. It's like a thin varnish. This will likely be the cheapest option. Yeah, this is me totally making things up. Of using like IPA alcohol, white glue, and maybe a dash of some kind of varnish in there, and water, maybe. Probably some kind of mixture that I would use. I probably would also maybe just call Luke and see if he could send me some of his Geek Gaming Scenics sealant. I know that exists. Bob says, a touch of white transparent monument through an airbrush is an easy bright highlight after all is painted. That's interesting. I'll have to try that. Thank you. The End. Hello, The End. What up to you too? Welcome. Sunny says you should start creating reshaders for video games. That sounds complicated. Can I create reshaders for myself? Make myself look better? Mark from Montana says, I suggest a 52 miniatures meet and greet fest for 2023. That will give plenty of time for planning. Any suggestions for locations? Yellowstone Park is a no-go. Why is Yellowstone Park a no-go? I want to go to Yellowstone Park. Are they closing the Yellowstone Park? I'd imagine that would be unclosable because it's huge. How about Tuscany? Tuscany's... I've never been to Tuscany. Can we get some kind of grant, like an arts grant or something? Or can we befriend like a millionaire? Can we start there, Mark, and see? Maybe we can, we need funding. Tom says, my favorite use of contrast paint was a set of zombies, just smeared a lot of different colors and mediums at random, then wiped it off to make highlights. They looked awful in a good way. Yeah, agreed. Transparent paints are great for that kind of stuff. I did, this is going to be a miniature in a video that releases on, let's see, sorry. I just needed to disappear into the darkness there for a little bit. Next video released on Thursday is going to be about sort of painting undead and stuff like that. One of the miniatures, I've actually painted 5 miniatures, I think, is this thing, which is actually, it's horrid. It's from Crippled God Foundry, is sponsoring the video, and so I'm painting their. They do 3D STL files, and this is one of them. And I mean, this thing is, it's horrible in a good way as well. And yeah, it's called a corpse gatherer. It's one of the most fun paint jobs I've had in ages. And one of my thoughts here was, I kind of wanted it. I was kind of after sort of like, not feeling, getting a sort of, when you look at something and you get this sort of feeling in your stomach that, same as you had too many coffees. It's just, that was sort of what I was after when I was painting. It was if I started to be like, oh, that's not, then I knew I was on the right track. But yeah, that's a lot of different strange transparent paints, sort of on top of each other and blending with each other and sorry, bang, and stuff like that. But yeah, I had so much fun painting that miniature. All out on Thursday. Please tell your friends and whatnot. Click like, subscribe, all of it. Let's see. Princess Damon says, I would love some Brutal Cities terrain, but the shipping from Australia is so high to the UK. I agree. It's a bit of a thing. I hope Ryan maybe, one of the cool things with MDF is you could outsource it. It would have to done in a great way, and maybe being able to get a hold of the same type of MDF and using the same machine. I know Ryan is very, I'm not going to say picky, because that sort of sounds, he's just a bit picky. I know he takes his stuff very seriously and he is very precise. But I mean, in theory, the MDF production could just be outsourced so that he could have someone printing for him in Europe. But yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to happen or not. I had the same It's the same because I bought a lot of I actually didn't even buy MDF from Ryan. He gave me the MDF. I paid for the shipping, and yeah, it was expensive because there was lots of it, and that's a bit of a shame. It would be nice to. But on the other hand, I know as well that he's sort of he has a lot to do. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. I agree. The shipping is a thing, and I don't think shipping is going to get any cheaper either. And it would be fun if his stuff was spread more internationally. Mark from Montana says, "Would Games Workshop sponsor us, or at least Alex?" No, Games Workshop they always work the other way around. They take your money. They don't give you money. Cal Nelson says, "I've built quite a few MDF." Sorry, I'm cracking myself up here because I think sometimes I just, yeah, quite a few MDF buildings from TT Combat without protection. And I was imagining whatever protection you'd be wearing, Kyle, while building. Is there padding in case you're like, oops, almost stabbed myself, or is it what kind of protection? But I know you meant you didn't seal it or prime it. It just, yeah, it was funny. Kyle says so many things in this hobby are potentially hazardous. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why it's fun. It's always nice to be living a little bit on the edge. It's like I could get super glue in my eye right now. This is a potential danger zone, and you feel a bit like, yeah. Joseph Bradshaw says Arbiter Ian. That's right, exactly who I meant. About the lore of the videos I maybe should watch to learn a bit about different legions. Oops, there goes the chat. I'm scrolling back up again. I'm sorry if I'm answering your whatever comments a bit late. It's like one thing is catching up, but it's also like the refresh rate of the chat is one of the things maybe YouTube should look into, because I get whatever happens in the chat like 6 to 12 minutes later than you've actually written them. Kylie says, "I learned the other day if you heat superglue in the oven, you make cyanide gas." I actually, I was hanging out a little bit with my dear patrons. We usually hang out we have a Discord channel. It's the big perk you get when you become a patron. You get to join the 52 Miniatures Discord, which is a lovely place. And whenever I can, or usually once a week or something like that, we try and just hang out and just do hobby. So a lot more informal than this. I think usually I even just film myself on my phone, which is, that's, now we're talking informal. Anyway, I was gluing, this is filament printed stuff. I just kind of remembered the other day that I have a filament printer. And so I was like, I should just start printing stuff. And so I've been printing like scatter terrain for futuristic skirmish games. So like, shipping containers and stuff. And I also printed some bridges because I think maybe I'm going to build like a modular river, and I thought that'll be a good bridge. And I was gluing all this stuff together, and all of a sudden I felt my eyes were just about to explode, and there's like some kind of chemical reaction between the filament and the superglue, which just yeah, it was really intense. Space Toy says, "Hello from Space Toy, building my first Gundam." Hello, Space Toy. It's pretty cool. I've never built a Gundam. Are they usually pre-painted? Aren't they? Or you just don't paint? Yeah. Joseph says you should open the box and look in the rule book. 50% of its lore, and there's a 2 to 3 page section with artwork for each legion. That was one of the smarter things I've read or heard all day, Joseph. Of course I should open and take the book out. Thank you. Cal Nelson says if you make a Black Shields force in Horus Heresy, they can basically look however you want. That's good to know as well. The end says, my father's name was also Alex, and he was a good father, my best friend. I'm glad to hear it. It's a good name, Alex. Samuel Briggs says, any love for the fairy tale style of Moonstone miniatures feels up your alley? I haven't actually had to look at Moonstone miniatures, but I'll take my little piece of paper here and I'll write it down and I'll have a look after the stream. Moonstone miniatures. I'll have a look. I don't know. Vladimir says, tried inks and they seem fun, but still have to dedicate some time to figuring out how to use them together with acrylics. Happy to hear good points from a pro. Yeah, I'm a very non-pro, honestly. I think my thing is I like to just try different things. Pros usually try different things and then they learn how they work. And then they use them for so long that they actually forget how they work. They just sort of, it's just lodged in their spine and they just use stuff and it just works. I just try things and just, sometimes things work and sometimes don't, but I'm not very afraid of experimenting, but I'm not sure I'd call myself a pro. But I think inks was one of the, when I started painting, I was like, inks, was, can I just want to buy a paint. Can people stop talking about all these different like things I should, look, a regular yellow paint, I'll use that one. And then at some point I bought some inks and I put them on a miniature and I was like, whoa, everything just turned green or whatever. And then gradually more and more, I've very much started to appreciate using inks for different things every now and again. Yeah, I mean, usually an ink is basically, they're not, all inks are not transparent, but it's very common that an ink is transparent. And it kind of feels like it's just pigment and water. There's not any like gooey stuff. It's very difficult. It doesn't come out even if you just brush it on a white surface. It'll get pretty blotchy, and it's difficult to sort of paint with. But to alter surfaces that already are painted and to sort of shade things or to enhance color in things, like if you want something to be like really orange, you like paint something orange and then put orange ink on it or whatever, or paint it yellow and put red ink or red or yellow ink or whatever way you want to do it. But usually inks are very, very saturated, which is fun sometimes if you really want to make something pop. But yeah, inks are fun. But it's I bought some and I probably had inks for over a year without figuring them out or getting them to work in my workflow. So they're a bit sort of alien at first. It's not maybe super user friendly, but it's fun to have when you get into it. Space Toy says, still working on getting a red boat to Sweden. I'm waiting for that red boat, Space Toy. Yeah. And now, you promised a rather, a kind of a large, not just a boat. It was, yeah. Anyway, that was an internal Space Toy. He's promised me a yacht, basically. But I have yet to see it appear. Worst thing is if anyone ever would gift me a yacht, I would actually not be able to afford to use it because of petrol. I'd be like, hey, let's go for a ride in my yacht. I just need to go to the bank and borrow money first to pay for petrol. Hello, Phil. Welcome. Late to the party, but you at least usually, I guess it depends on how late you join a party. Usually, being early for a party that's not usually when the fun party is. Being a bit late for the party might be good, because usually parties are the most fun after a while. But being really late to a party, like in, people are just passing out on couches and stuff, is maybe not so much fun. I think probably you join at one of the, I'm not sure. I don't think anyone's passed out yet. Scrolling. Samuel says, I found that a bust is a nice palette cleanser from painting my little armies. Yeah, I think it probably is. I mean, I'm pretty good at palette cleansing by using different techniques. Just the other day, it's going to be in the video as well on Thursday. I was painting a miniature, and I used sort of contrast style transparent paints on top of a Zenithal Prime, and then I was like, I'm not really enjoying myself all that much right now, because I'd already done that. And so then I thought maybe I should just paint the rest of it with oil paints. So there was already sort of a foundation. It was like whatever part was blue had a blue contrast paint on it, but that was it, and so on. And so then I just started to paint the rest with oil paints, actually painting with oil paints, which is not something I've ever done before. I've used oil paints to make washes and glazes and like put a bit of paint here and there, but not actually paint in that way with oil paints, which was weird. It was a lot more difficult than I thought. And I'm going to have to do it more times to get used to it. But I found it a little tricky. But I had fun, and I could do that kind of stuff for palette cleansers. The scale of the miniature doesn't, I don't know if that, or I start, working on terrain as well. It's a pretty good palette cleanser, and it also gets things done for sort of like stuff I can use on the table. It's a bit of a constant nag to sort of getting stuff on the table, and so yeah. Kaysani says, sorry, I've got something in my teeth. Can't wait to see more of your Stargrave stuff. Personally, I'd be a big fan to see you cover other non Games Workshop stuff. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't really. I think if you look at my videos, in theory, I mean, now this year I started my Owlcast, so that there's probably 2 or 3 videos with Games Workshop miniatures, because I've done the Owlcast. But looking historically, there's a lot of stuff that is not Games Workshop. I mean, more than half is not Games Workshop. But sometimes it's about sort of brands of miniatures and stuff like that, not games. With games, it's still a thing. Like my videos are mainly about me doing my hobby, and I play Age of Sigmar. So that's a Games Workshop game, and so it will be part of the videos. But I'm also into Stargrave, so and I think on top of that, because it's part of my hobby, it actually takes time. I know sometimes you can do videos, and you can do like, yeah, I played this game once, so I can make a video on it. And then next week you make another video on another game. And because for me, it's not really like that. I'm more like, I want to play a Stargrave campaign, and at my rate, that would probably, or my pace, that would probably take a couple of years. And so unfortunately, you're going to have to see videos on, with Stargrave content for that period of time. And then obviously sometimes it's not like that. It's sometimes I just do the one-off thing just because I feel like it. And honestly, with this box, it's like, there's something to be said about being a miniature wargaming YouTube painter and painting Space Marines. I don't do that, and there's a lot of people that don't, that like to watch Space Marines. It's just the way it is. And Warhammer 40k, this is obviously 30k, and it's not a huge strategy. And I don't think that my channel will explode just because I bought a box of beaky Marines. But it's also a bit of an experiment to see, like, what's the difference of me doing Stargrave content or doing painting Horus Heresy miniatures. It'd be interesting to see if there's any difference or not. Just sort of, yeah. Kenny also says, War Games Atlantic do some lizardmen that might make good for sci-fi aliens. Come to think of it. Yeah, I think I've seen some of War Games Atlantic stuff. It looks like fun. Antonio, this was, I think, regarding my question about MDF terrain. His wife primed the MDF terrain first and then sanded it, which was, I asked him why. Please go ask your wife. He's now come back after talking to his wife and says the primer fills in the wood grooves after she's lightly... No, and she built doll houses, sorry. The primer fills in the wood grooves after she lightly sands it. It's super smooth. There's no MDF texture. Okay. So if one wants to be really like picky, one can prime, then sand, and then prime again, maybe. Kyle Nelson says Yellowstone would be far easier for me, but way less cool. Yeah, see, I think probably for me, Yellowstone would be far more cool than Tuscany. But maybe that's because we're on different sides of the pond. Okay, scrolling down. Adventures in Crafting says massive flooding in Yellowstone right now. Yeah, okay. But maybe in 2023 it's seeped out and there's a massive drought instead. Seems to be the way we're doing things like now. It's like one or the other. Duster One says, love your stuff, mate. Abaddon is getting buffed big. Let's throw him at Russia. Okay. Moving on. Sorry. Impending super caldera eruption of Yellowstone as well, says Phil. So it's going to explode. It's overflowing and it's going to explode. Yeah, maybe we should do Tuscany, I guess. All of a sudden, we're talking about Tuscany. Lanky Fecker says, with the beakies, I believe there are 18 legions in 30k, and then 2 legions that are a mystery, lost to time. Inventing your own lore and making those 2 custom legions would be fun, ? Yeah, see, there is this thing with the fact that females can't physically become Space Marines, which is kind of silly because all of this is made up and by people who make games, and they've already taken a lot of these ideas that they've like put together from other science fiction and fantasy stories, but somewhere along the way it was like, no, only men can become Space Marines because that's just the way it is, which is also kind of silly because you have this really smart emperor dude who's figured out this whole sort of super duper process of putting all these different things into people, and you might as well in secret have done exactly the same thing with women. We just haven't written the book yet, and the fact that there's 2 lost to time legions is obviously the 2 female legions that the emperor has hidden from mankind because apparently they just can't handle it, which is strange. Yeah, okay, so moving, that was that little rant. Let's move on. Mark from Montana says, so Alex, if you don't mind sharing, what's the geographic distribution of your subscribers? Majority in Europe or North America, Latin America, and so on. I'm not sure of like the absolute majority is the UK, I believe, and then the US, and then probably it's like Germany, and and it sort of trickles down here and there. But UK and the US are the absolute majors, And I think the UK for me is that I have more UK subscribers than US subscribers. Yeah. Matt Hinton says, I started playing Stargrave after watching your video. I'm really glad to hear it. Do you enjoy yourself? I hope so. French Bird Reviews says, yay, I'm here. Yay, you're here. Good morning, Aaron from Vancouver. What's up? Lots of stuff's up, I think. Only good stuff, probably. The Neon Caster says, Moonstone has really interesting sculpts. Which, yeah, I'm glad I've written it down. I'll have a look. French Bird Review says, waiting for my dad to wake up so we can give him his Father's Day gift. That's very nice. I don't think today is Father's Day here. I'm not sure. I have not received a gift at any rate, and so yeah. Kyle Nelson says, if you've never built a Gundam, you need to. The thing can be built without glue. It's possible with more expensive kits having more points of articulation. Japanese engineering. So you mean, Kylie, they don't actually have mold lines and that kind of stuff, and it's not like, what is this supposed to? No way, I have to. Yeah, okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day. As I said previously, I'm so much into building and painting stuff that I can use. Not always, but this one looks pretty, at least. It's a very nice gift from Scott, I reckon. He sent me all three of these. I've only painted the one, and I gifted one away to today's admin, Blue Fangs, because she really likes the elves. But yeah, that was nice. John Bruce asks me, do you have any interest in historical skirmish or silver bayonet? Apologies if you've already talked about this late in. No, I haven't talked about that at all today. Yes and no. In theory, I'm interested in, I think historical games as a concept would be fun, because I've always been a bit of a history buff, especially probably sort of medieval things and Rome-related things I would probably enjoy. I'm not sure I would enjoy so much more recent history, world wars and things like that. Probably not. It's a bit too close to home, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. Well, I'm not going to say that. But I think more. Same as I guess one of the reasons why I like fantasy. I think I just enjoy the fact that people move up to each other and use swords and shields, and it's not so much about guns and ammunition, and I don't know. But historical games have pickled my interest, but I just haven't gotten there yet. Silver Bayonet has definitely got me interested, and it's actually going to be the video on Thursday is going to have a bit of a Silver Bayonet theme. I've already done one video on the Silver Bayonet. If you haven't watched that, it's probably got the most expensive miniature painting YouTube video introduction ever made. Making things up, but yeah. But the video on Thursday is going to be having a bit of a Silver Bayonet sort of theme as well. But I just haven't gotten there yet, and I'm not a fast hobbyist, and I don't do things all that much just to make a video on it to get it out on the channel. I do it because I like to play. And so first Stargrave, and Age of Sigmar, and then if there's room, probably Silver Bayonet would come before an actual historical game. Maybe I can save that for like retirement or something. Mikey says, surely you could swap your Neumann mic for a yacht. It's unfortunately, it's not that expensive. I do have an old RCA ribbon microphone though, which is, I mean, it should at least give me like a steering wheel on a yacht. Thus, the one is passing out. I'm sorry to hear it. Is it because the content is so great, you're overwhelmed and you're passing out, or is it because it's like, okay, this was fun, I'm going to pass out? Jusen asked me, how much do you actually get to play games compared to the time spent crafting and painting? Honestly, that question should kind of be a bit more like, how much do you actually get to play games compared to the time spent making videos, in my case, I think, because that's kind of a big thing, honestly, which is not a thing I don't mind it. I'm sitting here, live streaming on a Sunday while the sun is out, shining, and all that, whatever the sun does on Sundays. And so I don't get to play all that many games, really. It's also then based on the fact that I do enjoy painting more, honestly, than I enjoy playing games. But if someone would be like, you have to pick one, then it would be painting. So, and also because of personal matters, and I've moved and stuff like that, and time has been very, very scarce, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get into Stargrave, to have a game to play that doesn't actually take like 7 hours to play, like Age of Sigmar does when I play it, because I'm not very fast. But yeah, no, I don't play much at all. Not right now. I want to, but I don't. Yeah. Dusty One says, a bit off topic, but have you tried a barber's razor? They're a lot more satisfying and economical. No, I haven't. That was a bit off topic. Yes. No, I use the, when you have a regular sort of razor, but you haven't changed blade for like 5 years or something, so it's so blunt that it actually pulls out the hairs. That's what I use. Makes you feel alive. Okay, the chat is jumping about. Let's see. Michael Cohen, hello. Finally made it. How are things? Things are great. Thank you. I think it's about time for me to open this package, actually. See, I prepared here. Like, I thought, maybe I was going to glue things. I'm totally into like the skirmish look. Here's the, wait, oh yeah, I have this camera. This is, pallets kind of a thing. And I'm going to put stuff like crates and stuff on here. And it's like the perfect sort of skirmish. Whoa, sorry. Perfect sort of skirmish game thing. And then, a couple monsters, little men running around trying to shoot each other. Great fun. And I thought maybe I could glue all this together while no one really asks me any questions during the chat, but you're all asking me lovely questions. I also printed these. See, I figured this would be a fun idea. Sorry about all the scatter terrain. So this is a bridge, and this bridge hopefully will be going over a modular piece of river. And I've printed out another one. All this is filament printed. I'm going to do another bridge. And then I thought, there should be another type of sort of like crossing, and so I think I'm going to do like a ruined kind of a bridge. This was actually sort of supposed to be a proper bridge like this, only I just, purposely put the files in a bit weirdly, making it look so that'll be in theory water sort of, and you can still cross with your Mini, but it's more like a ford or a crossing, but it's the ruined bridge. That's the plan anyway. Okay, so I got this box. Let's open the box. It's from Green Stuff World, and I do apologize in advance if they packed something rude, or like there's like I open up and a big zombie jumps out or something. I have no idea because I don't actually know what's in here. Sorry, there was only. Thanks, Green Stuff World. No. Okay. Holy cow. That's weird. There's weird things. I thought maybe I was going to get the shaker. Maybe the shaker comes next. Here's a brush. I was going to say a brush river. It's a brush rinser. Okay. There it is. Look. Also, it's like they heard me, but they didn't know I was going to make a river. But maybe they were mind readers, because I got 3 different types of splash gel water effects. This now turned into sponsored content, ladies and gentlemen. This has been sent to me for free. They don't know that I'm going to be showing it on a stream. It's not an agreement of any kind. It just, I was actually for a gentleman called Mark in the chat. He's been trying to find a paint shaker for ages, and I actually thought there was going to be a paint shaker in here, which there was. And so I figured, might as well see what this is all about. And there's bits, strange bits, very strange bits. So I actually saw they put out a video on this thing. So I think, like, you're supposed to put this thing and then put like that, a bottle in there, put that thing in there, and then it's going to spin it, and that's how it's going to shake the paint. I think, and it runs by USB, so I won't really be able to show you how it works because I don't have a USB thingy here right now. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm a bit unfocused all of a sudden. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so let's try and find a paint bottle. Excuse me for just 1 second. I do apologize for this inconvenient little. Here's a bottle of Scale Colors Metal and Alchemy speed paints. And so if I'm right, this thing is supposed to go like that. Put that thing in there. Put this thing in there. And then we need... Oh, look at that. It was actually charged. And this is now spinning around in my hand. And supposedly this is supposed to shake the paint. Well, what are you doing? Oh, interesting. Is that a good sound? I'm just, I'm just thinking the cap will fly off. This will just fly everywhere. And yeah, okay. So I'm guessing this paint is now... Ooh, my hand's all... Wow, that's weird. My hand feels vibrated, honestly. Ooh, it's all tingly. That's strange. Okay. Is this shaken now? So my big... you'll have to excuse me for a second. I'm going to go get a bottle of Chimera paint because that's sort of my biggest... the other bottles of paint I don't really mind shaking. But the Chimera, is a different story. But I just don't. I think this whole thing is based around the fact that. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. YouTuber killed by paint shaker. That's not going to work. And that's not going to work. So there's different sizes depending on the size of your cap. So like something, I guess something like this goes into, something like that. Same principle. Whoa. Okay. There's now silver paint in that thing. Okay. But this, can we try? Should we try? Should we see if it flies off? Okay. Where's the least expensive things? That way. All of a sudden, it sounds like a Star Trek kind of a thing. But it's shaking that. Okay. You feeling a bit tired? I'm sorry. Now, I don't actually, like, does this, I guess, are you shaken now, Paint? Looks bubbly. Okay. Sorry for that little product test. My hand is all tingly. I guess, it spins the paint, and I guess because of centrifugal powers, that should also kind of mix the paint. It seems to be battery driven, charged with USB. There's three different things, and I have got no idea what the price is. I'm sure this is not Games Workshop. This is Green Stuff World. I'm sure they'll tell you. Sorry, back to the chat. Girl painting. Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. You're the German that watches me. Why are you watching? Why are Germans watching me all of a sudden? You're the German. Oh, okay, got it. There was the people from the UK and the US, and then there's the German. I've got a few German patrons as well, I think. Juan Sebastian Marinho Rodriguez, Colombian here. The fact that you are not screaming in your face type of YouTuber really warms my heart. I'm glad to hear it. I'm not very good at the excessive articulation. My hand is still feeling a bit weird. Maybe one should shake the paint before like painting, because I don't know, it's a bit weird. Or use no, I'm not a very loud person. Let's say that. Hello, Sherpa AB Canada, welcome. Okay. Jimmy says, love the female space marines for the Lost Legions idea. To me, it's pretty obvious. Isn't that why sort of Games Workshop has made the Lost Legions? They're just waiting for the majority of the 40K crowd to actually get ready for, being able to mentally accept female space marines, and when they do, they'll just like, well, that's what the Lost Legions were. I'm hoping at least it would be a good day for wargaming. Lucas, on topic of primers, recently I bought Green Stuff World, that would be GSW, I guess, black primer, and it's great, and nobody really talks about it. It's surprisingly scratch resistant compared to Vallejo's surface primer, and it sands well. That's good to know. I've only got the one rattle can from Green Stuff World, and it's a glow in the dark neon rattle can that they sent me, which is, I still haven't really figured out what I'm going to be using that for, apart from my kids' toys, I guess. Cassio says, here I am, late but never absent. Where are our beaky blinders? They're right here. Still resting in their box. Blue Fang says elves remain the best. Yes, that's what you're allowed to believe that. Skeleton with No Spine says, after watching your video on the Monster Hunter, I picked up the Silver Bayonet book, and it's so much fun. Yeah, I have the book as well, and I agree. It just looks like so much fun. And I've been watching Guerrilla Wargaming. Is that what he's called? And I forget his name now. I'm sorry. He does battle reports, and also paints miniatures very, very fast, because it's like a new game is released, tomorrow, but I've already painted 100 miniatures. He's been having battle reports on the Silver Bayonet, and it seems like a very fun game, very sort of narrative driven, and then using the game like actual cards for chance and stuff like that. Just there's a lot of weird things can happen, which is fun to have. Like if you play Age of Sigmar, it's fun to have a more sort of chance weird, lots of stuff might just happen. The rules aren't really sort of super specific type game to play, to alternate from the very sort of hardcore Age of Sigmar. So I'm glad you got into it and that you enjoy it. Jamie says Gunpla engineering is amazing. Amazing. Wait, sorry, I just have to. Sorry. Gunpla engineering is amazing. Almost no mold lines, connection knobs usually hidden once built. Yeah. It's fascinating sometimes when you see how things could be made. Juan Sebastian says, may I see those minis closer, please? What minis? Please say what minis you refer to, and maybe I can find them again. Jimmy says, what is the smallest scale you've ever played a game of? I haven't any epic scale games. No, I've just played 28mm war games pretty much. I've never played any epic games. There's some folk on the 52 Miniatures Patreon's Discord that do quite a lot of, not do quite a lot of, but there's been some smaller armies there. I really enjoyed, if you haven't watched it, Bill making stuff, which is I very much enjoy Bill's videos. He does sort of crafting style videos. He did a great, his most recent video was a great, had a backgammon board that he turned into a sort of little travel kit wargaming table. And he put some really small miniatures on there as well to play with, which, I just love the idea. But I have never played anything that small. Kyle asked me, have you ever tried a bust or a large scale figure? I believe I've just talked about that a bit recently, didn't I? Aaron says, just me who heard some crackling from the mic. I don't know, unless it was this. I always enjoy annoying people with with strange sounds. Okay, the chat just jumped again. Yeah, that's right. Ash is his name, from Guerrilla Wargaming. Ash Barker, I think. Ash Barker? No, is that the musician? Sorry, I should stop talking, but it would be strange because it's my live stream. Mark from Montana says, I read that UK visitors experiencing long lines at immigration in France, Italy, or Spain. Don't know if that's true. Yellowstone is iffy. I don't know about the lines of immigration. The only thing I know is that I don't actually have a passport right now, which is kind of funny because, well, one thing is like all of a sudden people realize, like myself, that you haven't traveled for 2 years, and oh, look at that, my passport is no longer valid. So I should go get a new passport. And everyone did the same thing. And so all of a sudden, instead of just people gradually trying to get their new passports, everyone wanted a new passport at the same time. And then the passport machine broke down. And I believe there only is one passport making machine, and it's actually in. I might be lying, but I think it's actually in Finland, and that Sweden and Finland all make their passports out of the same machine. I could be wrong. It could be in Sweden, but it broke down anyway. So all of a sudden, passports could no longer really be made, and yeah. And so I booked a time to fix myself a new passport, like I don't know, 3 months ago, and I believe I've got a time to get a new passport in like the end of July, and then they say it might take 2 months for them to actually make the passport, which is kind of silly when you have a system that sort of requires passports. It's not like, sorry, I didn't bring my passport. I go to the US and like, I'm sorry, I didn't bring my passport because the machine broke. But I promise, my name's Alex. It doesn't really work. So they should just maybe fix the machine and give people their passports so they can, yeah. Anyway, kind of true story. Marcin says, I'll watch it on replay as usual, but saw you were here and wanted to say hello. I'm glad you did. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the replay. Blue Fangs says, I think this is regarding the... Oh, wait. I think it might have speeds. Wait. Or either it has speeds or they want people to make strange music. But that sounds like different speeds, doesn't it? Before it felt like it was just on and off. Okay, sorry. But yeah, Blue Fang says, I can see this go very wrong if the cap isn't properly screwed on. I don't know. I'm thinking if they were smart, it always twists in, it always spins in the way that, is not the way that the cap screws off. You see what I mean? So that what it actually does, it locks the cap in place when it spins. It doesn't actually, because otherwise it would just, yeah. Verpine says, tingly fingers. Yes, very much tingly fingers. Kylie Nelson says, there's a syndrome you can get from that. Yeah. So I don't know if I can, I don't, like, can I put it? Let's see. What if I, oh no, that doesn't work. So you have to sort of hold it on, otherwise it doesn't, because I can't, it doesn't want to, no. Yeah. See, now it just stops. Why doesn't it go 1, 2, 3 now? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a strange, maybe if you have employees, you can just let them do it. I don't know. Duster One says, have you used much Pro Acryl paint? I found them great and bought the full set. Really nice coverage and super matte finish. I have a few of them, Duster. I bought, I don't know, I just bought a handful. I really appreciate, I think it depends on how one paints. I believe I had a bit of difficulty sort of wet blending with them. But they're very smooth, sort of when one just paints layers and stuff like that. And they also have like the saturation is great, and the coverage, especially on the white. Like I have some sort of pale skin tones. I think there's one called an olive skin tone or something like that. It's great paints. I also bought their black primer and white primer, but the black one is the one I use a lot, and I've been really enjoying it. Thomas Milligan says, at least it's smaller than a vortex mixer. Now you can shake paints on the go. Yeah. Also, like, I don't know the price, but I'm assuming this is going to be cheap. And vortex mixers are kind of the opposite of cheap, really. I'm still waiting for someone, working at a vortex mixer company to send me a vortex mixer, just because I'm such a nice guy, but they haven't. So it was very nice of Green Stuff World to send me this. I'm just, I was a bit shaky on the hands. Smooth Brush says, why no Lord of the Rings Mesbig miniatures painting? What's the please rephrase. I'm just not very good at sort of short words like that. I'm also soon about to jump off. I just saw the time. It's been 2 hours already. Jimmy says Pro Acryl White is tremendous. It truly is. Princess Damien says, those handheld paint shakers are dangerous. I have permanent nerve damage from using similar. A workaround is to fix them to your desk and attach paint with a sturdy rubber band. Nice one. See, I can, it feels a bit weird, honestly. And I mean, as Carl has been writing as well, I know it's pretty common with carpenters and people using a lot of power tools and stuff like that to get shakes. Just, I'm not going to say shaking your paint every now and again with one of these is going to give you tremors. It depends on how much you like to shake your paints, I guess. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. But there was a really good idea by Princess Damien to actually, if one would use this, is to actually fasten it to something. It's pretty smart. Okay, let's see. Mark says, commercial vortex mixers, too expensive, been down that road. Hobby mixers from Green Stuff World, potential wrist injuries. Guess I need to hire a minion to shake my Chimera paint. Yeah. There's a lot of things to consider in this hobby. I think my dear visitors to this live chat, it's been about 2 hours. It's about, I think if I end now, I might still be able to go out and enjoy the sun a little bit. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today, talking about MDF and nerve damage and beaky people, all kinds of stuff. It's been great. I hope to be back again in 2 weeks. I'm really trying to keep that every other week, every other Sunday schedule. It'd be a nice little tradition to keep going. Thanks all for sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Bye.